Hi everyone, it's Nono here and we're gonna get started really soon. Okay, hi everyone, it's Nono here, one more week, and I'm welcoming you to the live stream. This is a space I reserve every week for creative coding and machine intelligence. And today we're gonna take a look at WebSockets, maybe at some Laravel new technologies, and I'm gonna share a few announcements. So bear with me, we're gonna take a look at that. Let's get started. I'll invite you, now that you're here, to like this video to support the work that I'm doing here with these videos and with the channel. And you can subscribe also, hitting the subscribe button and the bell if you're gonna get notified when I go live next or when I upload new videos. You can also join us on Discord. This is the community that we have. It's called a Discord server that you can get an invite at nono.ma/Discord or at the QR code up there. And last week, we already started preparing what we're going to record today, right? We actually prepared the material, and I'm going to do a recap recording today. So we're going to try to record a tutorial that we can release on YouTube that is a bit more succinct, that is a bit more summarized. That's live 81 from last week. And you can access it as always at nono.ma/live/81. What else do we have here? All right, so I've updated. So here is the old gettingsimple.com/ask page. Actually, if I open a new tab, I can show you live that we have this is a new page so that I've made. So this is the new ask a question for Nono to answer on the podcast page. You can get there at gettingsimple.com and clicking ask a question, or just at gettingsimple.com/ask. As you can see, it asks you to record a voice note. So that would be the best about any of the previous episodes on the podcast or the live stream. You can hit record here, and that way I would be recording, right? And then I would be able to play and preview it. Or now we have this new way, which is submit a video. There is a Dropbox file request, and you can record a video question with your cell phone or with your computer webcam and upload it by dragging here. Hopefully 30 seconds or less. If you're recording with your phone, smartphone, selfie mode is better. Okay, so we go back here and okay, so this is a video. Let's see if this plays. Okay, this is an experiment that Adam Waters on the Discord channel suggested we could try. So he sent a flat texture, the one that you can see here, I think. I think this is the original, or maybe this is the one that was generated. Yeah, this is the one that was generated. So I think, yeah, so this is the original texture that he sent, and I uploaded that to DALL-E and asked it to generate different faces on the part of the face, and he applied it back on the 3D model, and this is the result we got, right? It's pretty awesome that, you know, because it's a flattened texture, it's an image, and it's a square image, you can upload it to DALL-E, and you can get different modifications. Okay, and now just sharing, because I'm an avid user of Descript, they just released the Descript Storyboard feature as a private beta. So yesterday they announced it and showed a demo, and this seems to be like a really promising improvement to edit videos and podcasts on Descript, which I'm really excited about. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to recap what we're going to do today. We're going to record tutorials on WebSocket server and WebSocket client, creating that with TypeScript and with the WS npm package. Live 81 has all the contents and the logic, or the building of these examples, the cleanup of the examples that we had. And yeah, we're going to get going right now. Let me see if I have... I don't have... okay, I don't have the cover for this in here. And I think we could grab that from last week. So let me go to last week's slides and grab that. Okay, and just as a comment, if you're watching this video, the live stream recording, or you're watching live, these recordings that I'm going to do now are going to be edited. So if you're seeing this, it means that maybe there are other edited video versions of the tutorials that I'm about to record. I'm going to record an intro and an outro for each of the videos. And I have the code already. So that means, and the instructions, right? So that means that we probably can attach the instructions as well. We're going to first create a server, and then we're going to create a client. And I'll just reproduce all of these steps. Okay. So probably I'll just put this here, and when you see me looking at the side, I'm going to be looking at these instructions, but I'll go silent while I'm looking, because that way I get to automatically get Descript to crop those things and not have to edit it myself, right? So you might see pauses if you're watching the raw video. You might not see the pauses if you're watching the edited version, which wouldn't include this that I'm saying right now. Right, so let's see, we got... let me just check something here. All right, that seems to be a bit better. Okay. All right, so I have my notes on Notion. All right, let's get started. Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is a tutorial on how to create a WebSocket server with TypeScript. we're going to use the WS npm package, and then later you can expect another separate video doing exactly the same thing, but to create a client instead of a server. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is select the location where we want to place our experiment. I'm going to create a folder called WebSockets server TS for TypeScript, and I'm going to access it. Then I'm going to run the shortcut code dot to open this folder into Visual Studio Code. You can see that the folder is empty. We can press Ctrl and the backtick to bring another terminal in here, so we can be working on the terminal right inside of Visual Studio Code. I'm going to maximize this window and gonna make the type bigger so you can see it. All right, now we need to create an npm package or model in this folder, which we'll do by running npm init, and then that's why that basically says use the default values. You can see that these are pre-filled values of our package.json file. That is the only file that we have right now on this folder. And now we have to install things. As I said, we're going to install and save the WS library. And then we'll do the same, but for our development dependencies. Those are going to be npm install, save dev, and we're going to install TypeScript. We're going to install the types for Node so we can code in TypeScript, and also the types for WS, that is the library that we're going to be used, and we want to have autocomplete as we're coding. So these packages resolved, we have added 3 packages, and now we can go to our package.json file and see what we've installed. We have WS as a dependency, and then the 3 packages that we installed as development dependencies. You might realize that we're missing something. If we're using TypeScript, we need a tsconfig file. For that, we can do tsc init, which will create a default tsconfig.json file pre-configured for us, and that we can customize and set many different options for. Right, there is not too much set here, but we're going to leave it as it is for now. And in here, we're just going to create a new file that is going to be called server.ts. This is our server logic, is going to go here. And just to see that we can run TypeScript, I'm going to write here console log and we're going to do here hello WebSockets, and we're going to try running that from our terminal. So I save this file and then I do tsnode server.ts. You can see that this has output properly the console log. Note that I'm using tsnode. This is a TypeScript version of Node. Whereas you can do node index.js, for example, for running JavaScript scripts. Here we do tsnode index.ts, or in this case, server.ts. You can install tsnode All right, so now we're going to add in the logic that makes a WebSocket server. We'll call it the same way, tsnode server.ts, but we need some logic that basically loads the library, instantiates our WebSocket client, and defines the behavior when clients connect and when other events happen. I'm going to grab an example here that we have prepared that uses code from npm.js.com, the package WS, right? The package that we're going to be using. And this example is going to start a WebSocket server. We'll create later another video for creating a WebSocket client that can connect to this server. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to import WebSocket server from WS. And you can see that many of these things autocomplete. We're going to define our port that for me now is going to be 1234. And we're going to create a new WebSocket server that is going to be that WebSocket server object, and we're going to pass in the port to it. Here we could say to the user where we're listening, right? We're listening at that port. And in here, we need to define WebSocket server behavior. So what happens when different events occur? And one of the things that we can do, let me make this slightly bigger. So we can try running this. So tsnode server.ts, right? So the server would keep waiting for us, but there's no behavior that we've defined. So what would happen here, what we want to happen is that on a new connection, we're going to receive a WebSocket client, and then we'll have a handler function here. So this method handles new connections. And we can say that when this WebSocket sends a message, we're going to do something with that data. So for example, we can print it, and we could also send a new message when a new client connects. Hello, this is server.ts. And here we could actually format this saying received message from client. All right, you can see that this still runs. And the only thing we need now is some code to get a client to connect and see if this works. So I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump in time, because we're going to do the client tutorial, and I'll run this server and we'll try with the client, but there will be another video that will let you know how to actually write the code for that client. Okay, so that was a summary of how you can write a WebSocket server with TypeScript and the WS npm package, and how you can execute it locally with TS Node. Please go ahead and watch the next video if you want to know how to create a WebSocket client with this same library and connect it as we showed in the example. Feel free to like the video if you want to support the work that I'm doing here, and to subscribe if you want to get notified when there are new playlists, new videos, or when I go live next. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Well, let me record that last part. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, let me edit that. So interlude. Okay, so we have the first tutorial almost how it is going to be. So let me copy this here at the end and just finish with an empty slide here. All right. So we have this thing here. If you connect live, please let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. I know that this is not the regular time at which we're streaming, but this is the time in which I could do today. All right, I'm gonna take a really quick break, and we'll be back to record the client part. Hey, Jean-Marc, how's it going? All right, so we're going to continue now. Thanks for holding. I'm gonna drink a bit of water. It's really hot here. And yeah, I'm using these live sessions to as a chance to re-record some of the things that we've seen on the live stream, but make them a bit smoother and record a tutorial. So we have the opportunity to use this and edit the videos properly. All right, so let's see here. Everything's set. I have my notes, and yeah, I guess it's the same thing, just a slightly different code. So we're gonna follow the exact same process. So I'm gonna be recording here, and I'll be recording an outro as well, and we're going to edit this later as 2 separate videos and hopefully in a real-time collaboration playlist. So I think we're good to go. All right. See, what do I get to here? Okay. Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is a short video on how to create a WebSocket server with TypeScript. Oh, okay, I gotta record that again. I made a mistake. Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is a short video on how to make a WebSockets client with TypeScript and the WS npm package. We have a previous video on how to build a server, and right now we're going to build a client and we're going to test it with that server to make sure that everything is working, right? Tying the pieces together. All right, let's get started. The first thing I'm doing here is go to the directory where I want to create my project. You can see here we have the WebSocket server TS for TypeScript, and we're going to create the same folder but for the client. And if you've seen the previous video, we're doing the same process. If not, I'll walk you through it in a second. The first thing, we're going to create a new npm package. I put -y because that pre-fills the package.json file with defaults. We're going to install again our dependencies. So basically npm install ws save. I'll make this big so you can see it. And then we're going to install again, but save dev, which is the same as -d for our development dependencies. These are TypeScript, types node, and types ws. So we install, we get all of our packages, and now what we need to do is tsc init. So we create the default tsconfig.json file that we need to run code in TypeScript, and we can do touch client.ts to create an empty TS file that we can edit here and maybe run here console log hello WebSockets client, right? So this is just to test that we can run TS node with our client.ts and that code runs. All right, so everything seems to be set properly. I'm going to run the code dot shortcut to open this project on Visual Studio Code, and we're gonna see. Okay, and you can see that we have the files that we've created. So client.ts, we have the package.json and the tsconfig, package-log.json because we've run npm install, and node models that has all of the packages and their dependencies of the things that we've installed. So if we open client.ts right now, we only have this console log hello WebSockets client statement. We're going to remove that, and we're going to state the purpose of this file. Starts a WebSocket client and connects to a server. And this comes from https npmjs.org package ws. This is the package that we're using, and these examples were graphed and slightly modified from there. The first thing, as always, that we're going to do is import the ws library. So here we just do import WebSocket . So here we're just gonna import WebSocket from WS. We're going to define our port. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to create a new WebSocket client. New WebSocket. We put here the URL, which is going to be WS localhost and then our port. So now we can define different events. What happens when we open, when we receive a message, when we receive an error, right? And in this example, we're just going to handle WS on. You see here, we get autocomplete on close, error, message, open, ping, pong, upgrade, and expecting response. This is the great magic of TypeScript. We're getting autocompletion because we have the types for the WS library. That is the library that we're using. So I'm just going to go here with WS on open. We get a handler function that we're not going to touch at the moment. And we'll put here a handler for message, which actually will give us some data. So in here, we could say received a message, and we can print that message. And on open, we could actually send a message, right? We could actually send, hi, this is a client. All right. So we do have here the minimal code that we can get for our client in TypeScript. And I'm going to add a statement here that is going to say that we have connected, right? So this is just to know that we've connected to a given WebSocket server. And the message is from the server. All right, so let's test this code now. I do have another window here open from our previous video where we executed tsnode server.ts, and our WebSocket server is already listening at port 1234 in our local machine. So that means that this localhost URL should work with that port because it's actually the same port. So let's give it a try. I'm going to make this smaller. And get another terminal. So now I do git, so not git, okay. So here I do tsnode client.ts, and let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so you see that magic that happened there? I clicked here on tsnode client. The client told us that it connected. So that means that this open handler got triggered, right? So it opened a connection. So it actually printed this client connected, and then it sent this, hi, this is a client message. The server then said, okay, I received a message from a client which says, hi, this is a client, which is this message. And then the client actually received a message from the server that says, hello, this is server.ts. You can go to understand a bit more of the code of the client, so the server, to the other previous video that we have. But in a nutshell, when the WebSocket received that open connection, it printed the message that the client had received, because we have this handler when we receive a message on the server. And then here we sent a message that said, hello, this is server.ts, which actually didn't get sent. Oh, sorry, it actually did. Which, which is actually here, right? You see the emoji is a bit weird, like sending weird characters, but yeah. So So this was in a nutshell how you could set up a client that can connect to an existing WebSocket server and it's going to handle the open connection event and the message. We could handle others. And in future videos, I expect to tell you how you can also pass more intricate messages as JSON objects, so you can parse the data in the server or different clients and then trigger an action or handle those methods and events according to the data that was sent. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'll remind you that you can like this video if you want to support the playlist and the videos that I'm uploading here. And you can subscribe if you're going to get notified when I up new videos or when I go live next. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so it seems like the goal of today was fulfilled. So Isaac Holmes says hi. John Mark was saying hi before as well. So we have that code there, which we have coded. And I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the repository here and I'm going to add that folder. So we actually add the server and the client code that we created today. T3, add WebSocket, client and server in TypeScript. Right, we're going to push that so you can actually have that on the live repo. So that's well, we can, yeah, open. All right, so we have here the WebSocket client and the WebSocket server. And this repeats a bit what we did last week, but I think this is a bit more refined. I think it's more or less the same. Okay, so I guess like another video that we could do is how to send JSON messages and handle that. And maybe that's something that we could add here. So we could, how would that be? I have some code from before to do that. Do we do that now? It's a bit late. Okay, and I'm gonna leave that for some other time. I'm gonna show something really quickly. I'm gonna see here if we have the markers for today's session. If we have anything that we can rename. So this is okay. So this is just me trying to save work for later, and I'll do this live just to see if anyone else connects. 3D textures with DALL-E 2. This was what was this one? Okay, so this was actually here. This was ask a question. This was Descript Storyboard. Okay, so we have here today. We have an interlude. We have here WebSocket client, no, server with TypeScript in TypeScript. And then I guess we do have the and this is the WebSocket client. Yeah, and I think the break was a bit before. Okay, and we're in this interlude right now. So this is just me trying to be more efficient because I'll post these chapters as we finish this live stream, and that'll be pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look at something before we go. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what Laravel is a PHP framework. For me, I started coding with PHP Nuke back in 2003 or something like that, or 2004. That was a content management system, a framework that allowed you to make websites really well or really fast and with many features. Then WordPress kind of exploded, and there is a love-hate relationship with many people on WordPress. For me personally, I prefer to run away from it a bit, and I discovered Laravel, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or even more. I started making websites with it, right? So today I'm just going to show you with the latest version how easy it is to make a website from scratch. And they even have support for modern technologies like something called Vite.js, that is the way to bundle your assets and compile SCSS or Sass or less to CSS, TypeScript to JavaScript, and have a website made in Vue or React or Livewire, many different technologies really, really fast. All these terms evolve really quickly. There are terms like inertia, Vite, that I just heard about this morning and I have never used. I didn't use Vite until today, but now I have. And I'm going to show you really quickly how to make an app and how do we use Vite to customize it. So again, so of course, the first thing you need to do is to go to the folder where you want to create the app. At least for this example, I'm just going to create it on the current directory. And I'm going to run this with Composer. I'm going to say I want to create a project that is going to be using the Laravel framework. And I'm going to call this Laravel app. This is going to resolve your dependencies according to the latest version of Laravel. It's going to install a few things, going to generate an application key, and now it says that it's ready. So I'm going to enter that directory. I can list the files that we have here. You can see this vite.config.js file, and then the other are just the normal folders. So for example, resources contains your views and your assets and other things. Routes contains the definition for your API, for your actual web routes and things like that. I'm going to click on code dot. That will open this folder on Visual Studio Code so we can browse through the code. And I'm going to see that we have the M file, right? An M file has your environment configuration variables. These are secrets, so don't show them online. But this is just a stub. It's something that was created right now. This key shouldn't be shown either, and you can see that this one, even if I were to remove it, I can run PHP artisan key generate, and that will regenerate, right? So now we get a new one. All right, we can regenerate again. Okay, so I have my application, and even without taking a look at its code, I could run it. There is an easy way, that is PHP artisan serve, and this is telling us that is actually already running here. It started when I ran that command, and this is our Laravel application, right? How else could we run this, and how do I do this, right? I could stop that command, and without having to have that PHP artisan serve command here, I could call valet link live 83, for example, right? So that links creates a symbolic link between in valet, that is, I think, using Nginx proxies inside of our computer. This is on Mac OS, to route your application, because this is not working now, right? I can do live-83.test because that's the default TLD that comes with configured with valid, but you could put .dev or .local or other things that you do. But here, live83.test. So we have this application running here. This is kind of the stub page that comes with Laravel by default. And what can we do now, right? So of course, the first thing you can do is go to resources, find your views, and take a look at the welcome view. The welcome view has that content that we're seeing on the browser. It's a lot of stuff. And if I just delete it, I can put here, hello, Laravel. Right? As I do that, I refresh, and then that's the content on my website, and that's the only thing on the source code, right? I could wrap this on a paragraph, then you can see that here, and you cannot see that there. Okay, where is that welcome view being loaded? So we have web.php that explains here that these are the route of your application. I'm personally going to delete this, and then it's loading the welcome view. You can actually also do that by doing route view, this, and this, right? So this is more customizable. It's actually a handler function for like a get request. You could also have post or any or put, but for a view, it's usually just a get, and you just put this one liner and this continues to work. So we could put here home view, then that breaks because that doesn't show up. And now here we just change the name to home.blade.php, and then that works again. This blade.php is because Laravel ships with a syntax in which you can add these kind of funky add syntaxes and code with PHP and do loops in PHP, but with a syntax that feels a bit more like templating instead of actually doing PHP. So I could here specify a list of, I don't know, names, right? So we could say here John, John maybe. We could do here Isaac, and we could do Nono, and we could do Lily, for instance. And now we have those names. I could directly do some PHP code here and say, okay, now you're gonna dump those names, and we're going to see that Laravel is dumping that array here. So we're visualizing PHP data inside of our browser. All right, but what else can we do with that? We could, for instance, say title, and we could say people, right? It's the title of our page, for example. How can we print that? If we do title here, that just shows title. We could actually wrap this around these symbols that are the blade way of printing a string in PHP, and then we get that variable there, right? If you have code that is actually speeding HTML, so for example, let's think of this. So if you had like an italics here, something like this, that doesn't print this way. You actually have to escape this with two bangs, and then this is rendered as PHP, right? You can see this like that, but if we don't escape it with the bangs, we're gonna get something like that, right? It's actually escaping the HTML. That allows you to prevent HTML injections. All right, so what can we do? I said that we could do things like loops. So I could do here a for each loop, and I have an extension, I think, that helps me autocomplete this. So this says for each, and I can say here names as name, and then I can simply do HTML inside the loop and do this thing here. Right, so now we can expect a list of paragraphs, right? So something's failing there, and the file variable name, okay, typo, right? And we're getting paragraphs, right? And we get these names here. And you can do things like if, I don't know, count names is more than 5, and def, right? we could say here, there's a lot of people. And then here we could say, there's not that many people, right? So right now we can say there's not that many people, but if we now add, there's not that many people, and if we add more people, then, you know, there's a lot of people because this is getting triggered. So it's a way of doing PHP, but inside of a templating system. So you don't need to do PHP in line. And the last thing I'll show here is that we could create a layout view. So for example, I'm going to do here layout.blade.php. Note that we have the blade.php to be able to use blade, otherwise it would be just layout.php. And what we do is that, for example, we could get here a base HTML code, and we could have an h1 that is going to always print our title, and it's always going to print our title here on the header tag. So this view itself doesn't have any content. What we could do here is yield content, and I'm going to show you how to fill in that code. So what we do here at the top of the view is we say, okay, we want to extend layout, right? And you see how we have defined the title variable here. So I'm going to remove these things here. I'm going to comment these things. And just so you see it, title is there, right? So title is people. And this content we haven't yet filled, but for example, we could put it into a div. Let's just make, this is a bit ugly, but let's make an inline style here really quickly. So I'm gonna make that div be, so have a border. So it's gonna be 1 pixel solid. Plan, for example, and the border radius is going to be 15 pixels. All right, so this is going to wrap my content. So there is nothing there, but you can see that there is that kind of border there. We're going to put this to 2. And what you can see, and this is big because I made it big. So you can see now that if I put here section content, and then I put here stop, whatever I put inside will show in the layout inside of the div. All right, so we reload here, right? And that is showing there. And now we could have another, like a different view that is called maybe, so we'll call this now people and leave that there. So home is going to be called people.blade, and we're going to create a new one that's going to be home.blade.php, and we'll get this at people. All right, so in home.php we don't have anything. I'm just going to copy the same code that in people, and what I'm going to do is like welcome to my home page, and we'll have here home. Right, so now we have home, and we can put here slash people, and then we have 2 different pages, right? All right, so let's add some styling so that's not super ugly. Okay, so I'm just formatting some things here with CSS so we can have something that looks a bit better. All right, so we're gonna put also this content inside of the wrap. All right, so now we have our page. We can say that we want the font family to be system UI. All right, and we're gonna remove this debug thing that I put as title. Right, so we have here this thing, and this is the site that we're making. So let me just remake this and just put that this is gonna be like a light gray, or maybe let's make this white. So this is gonna be background color is gonna be white, and our background of our body is gonna be slightly off white. All right, and we put here this. All right, that's really subtle, but I hope that you can see something. And maybe for our H1, we're just gonna do smaller font. Not really, let's just put font weight 500, so it's not so thick. All right, so this is our content right now, so we can make this a bit wider. Great, so this is our content. And as I said before, we have people and we have home. And of course, like we could list here and say, go to my people page, right? And just link to people. From home, right? And here we could say, go back home. Okay, so we have our navigation now, which is super simple. Let me do something really quickly so this is not super ugly. So we can do A and A hover and A visited. We're gonna do that the color is always gonna be black. Okay, so this is the minimal website, right? See how the title of the site is also changing, right? So here we have like people and home, and it's changing. We have like a bare minimum page, and you can see that every time I refresh, I have to come here and actually refresh manually. So here is where Vite comes in. So let's go to the LARAVEL.com site again. If you look at the getting started guide and you look at the, I think might be on to do the basics. So let me see where Vite is talked about. If you're using Laravel as a full stack framework, we also strongly encourage you to learn how to compile your application, CSS, and JavaScript using Vite, right? So this is how to build assets with Laravel. You need to install Node, install the Vite plugin, just do npm install, it will be installed, and you have your configuration that comes with it. You can remove CSS or JavaScript. It depends on what you want to do. And this is all you need to add to your site to load the assets, right? So let's actually put that here and comment it. So if I put it on my layout, so I don't have to put it manually on all of the pages, right? So I put this here, and you can see, or let's try to see if that actually works. So if I go to live83.test, now it says, did you forget to run npm install npm run dev? Yes, I did. I mean, I didn't forget, but we know we have to do that. So let me do that inside of the Visual Studio window. So we can do that here, and we'll do npm install, npm run dev, right? So this installs the dependencies. In this case, if we go to package.json, that dependency is Vite and some other dependencies like the Laravel Vite plugin, access and load as and post CSS. And the two commands we have is Vite and Vite build. Vite is for development. It has hot reloading, which you're going to see now is really cool. and we have Vite build that builds the assets for production so you can deploy. So here it's telling us that our website is now being served at localhost 3000 and we can open it, right? So this is the server that provides the assets, but now we can update here and this is hot reloaded. What does that mean? Okay, that means that it's really cool. That means that I can now go back to my scripts, and because now if you look at the source code, this website is loading the client and the app CSS, which right now is empty. That is going to change dynamically as we change code. So you see it. I'm gonna get all of this style. I'll remove the tags, but I'm just gonna copy, so we remove it from here. We're gonna leave all this stuff here inside of the head, right? But we'll go to app.css, which is at resources /css, and we're gonna paste that. We're gonna remove these things, and we're gonna put this here. All right, so now I haven't done anything, but if I update the CSS app CSS, this is being hot built or hot reloaded. And if I change this to, let's say I put here a, I don't know, like color sea green or something like that, right? If I update, that is already here. But not only that, it's affecting my website. So if I have this big here, if we play with blue, or if we remove that, you can see how these things are live reloading. And that is super exciting because that means that you now have the possibility to change things here and just see them change live. So let's put this to Plum again. And yeah, so we have the option to change things on our browser. And this is CSS, so let's just do a few changes here. We can change the colors, we can change the page, or change whatever we want, right? Okay, so let's go here, and maybe we want this color as well. Okay, so this is live reloading. We can do it not only with CSS, but if we go here, we have CSS and we have JavaScript. So there is a bootstrap. So there's like Axios and other things are being loaded. We have bootstrap. And just let's try here. This thing works, right? When I do that, what happens is that if I go to my console here, you can see this print message that says this thing works. So we now have complete access to JavaScript, and it's really easy to add React and Vue and other things into here, right? Okay, so what else we're gonna see last? Something that I really like is like if we change this to SCSS, right? So this is a different extension now, and it's actually not CSS, it's actually Sass. It's something that allows you to do things like this, like for example, color accent, right? And we could say, okay, this is going to be sandy brown. This is now a variable that I can use in here, I can use here, and I can use here. And that doesn't show up anymore because we have to go to our Vite config and add that file here. Note that when I do that, even if I restart here, nothing happens. And that is because we need to do here an addition. We need to add Sass. We add that, and automatically what happens is that Vite knows that it has to also compile Sass code, CSS code. All right, so we go here. This happened to me this morning. So we're going to see here we have app.css, but that file actually doesn't exist. What does exist is .css, right? So we want to get that built with our code. All right, so we have that here. And what I'm going to do just to see if that was the thing that solves it. So layout, and we just put this thing here and we load that. What did I do? Let me really quickly check and see what I did this morning. Okay, not sure if this is the problem, but I put Sass here instead of on the dev dependency. So let me try really quickly and do this thing. So npm update, not here. So let's try here. npm update. And I'm going to do npm add Sass for development. Okay, npm install. npm run dev. Okay, let's see if this is now what is going on there. All right, so that seems like it's working now. Great. And even though you can see that there is that SCSS, this file has this SCSS, but actually I think the page has the other version. Okay, let's try. That's working. And if we go to live 83, you see that the manifest doesn't exist, but we can do npm ram build, which is basically Vite build. You can see here we build, and now we get this page, and now it's static, right? Like we're not running Vite anymore. We've actually compiled the CSS and the JavaScript, and you can see that now these assets are the CSS with these funny letters, which means that if we change something, so if I go and change this color to sea green, for example, this doesn't update yet, and this doesn't update yet, but if I rebuild, now those have changed, right? From AE7 to DF1 and this to green, right? So that is interesting because now that means that this is a website that we could deploy automatically to the web. And of course, it's super, super convenient. I cannot stress how convenient it is to do the npm run dev, because here now we can visualize things like, I don't know, letter spacing and be visualizing automatically, right? Is this actually connected? Yeah, okay. Something that is really cool, I think we can do animation all 1 second easy out. I think does that work? Okay, I think it was this one. Yeah, okay. So even with CSS animation, this is dynamic. So we could say, okay, 0. And then we could say 2, right? So we can get these really nice animations in here. So we could preview these things really quickly or really nicely. All right, so let's say okay, and I don't know, like just to try hover, and we're gonna collapse this thing. Now I'm just playing. You know, and I wouldn't do all these fancy animations on my website, right? But I think they are like super nice that you can preview all of these things super quickly in your browser. with Vite. Okay, and we haven't really looked into TypeScript. I think that's for another day. Let me know if these are contents that are interesting for you, if you want to take a look at anything. Let me record a quick outro. All right, so that was a quick overview on the latest developments of Laravel, some of the things that I know, and a really quick introduction on how you can make your website with it. I also talk about Vite, and I will let you know that it would really be of help if you like this video to support the work that I'm doing here on the channel. And you can subscribe if you're going to get notified when I upload new videos or when I go live next. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. All right, so again, the last piece, as always, is going to the repo and making sure that if that's possible, we're gonna add that to the web so you can browse the code and run in your computer. The vendors are not here. That's great. No models are not here either. Nor vendor. Okay, and great. Okay, git ignore. Great. So we're going to commit this as 83 Laravel app with Vite.js. Great. And we're going to push that as well as we did before. And now we have that in 83. All right. Yes, and this is here. You can see some of the things that we've modified, like the resources, CSS, app CSS, and some of the views that we've created here with the base layout and some other things. I keep enjoying how nicely GitHub renders the code. Okay, and just a really quick thing maybe that we can do. To clean up that code so it doesn't stay dirty. And yeah, I can see, Jean-Marc, that Vite is basically like a live server extension in VS Code. Yes and no. I mean, it has a lot more stuff. It also bundles your code, it compiles, it transpiles from TypeScript to JavaScript. It's more like what Webpack Laravel Mix was before, and it's more similar to Webpack or some other bundlers. All right, and as I said, just some housekeeping here to make sure that this project is properly cleaned up. And I guess we can do this. Some cleanup. Okay, and that's now pushed. And I believe, okay, so we already have this interlude section. I believe this is intro to Laravel and Vite.js. All right, and I think that's it for me. Any questions, any last comments? I'm gonna do an outro and we're gonna go. It's hot here, it's late, and I'm glad that some of you could connect because of the time change. I'm never predictable because it's super hard to always know I would recommend you to see the Live 81 if you want to learn more about the WebSocket process that we did on learning last week. And I will point you to some of the other videos that we've done. So this one is interesting. It's something that I commented before. If you haven't watched it yet, this one is especially, I worked on it, DALL-E to explain. So I'll put the link on the chat if you guys haven't watched it yet. Explained. And yeah, I think I do have a few others that are gonna come out soon, or that have been edited already. And yeah, new podcast with Frank Harmon really soon, whenever I get time to finish editing. And I think that's it for me. Again, thanks so much for connecting live. John Mark, thanks for showing up. I know that you're like an all-time follower. Isaac Home, glad to have you online. I see that there's other people connected online with us today as well. If you can let us on the chat know where you're connecting from, why you found us, or how you found us, I'd be really interested in knowing. And please go and subscribe and join in next sessions. Don't be a stranger. You can join Discord as well if you want to share what you're working on, or if you want to ask questions. Once again, thanks a lot for being there. And you can like this video to show support and let me know that you're enjoying the content. You can subscribe if you're going to get notified when I go live next, or when I upload new videos. And join the community. There is a lot of cool people out there. I really enjoy the links that you share, and many of those things that you ask and you share determine the things that we cover on the live stream and the podcast. Okay, thanks so much for being there. It was Nono Martinez Alonso here. You can follow my work at nono.ma, and also listen to the Getting Simple podcast at gettingsimple.com. Pleasure as always. And yeah, thanks to you, John Mark. Thanks for the encouragement. And this ends here. Bye, everyone. Have a really nice weekend. And we'll have 2 more sessions, at least, I hope, before the summer break, because in August we're not going to be live streaming. So we'll come back in September. I'll comment some things on where this studio is going and what are we doing with it. All right. Bye-bye.